listen to what your community says it needs.
Welcome to Agency for Change, a podcast from KidGlov that brings you the stories of changemakers who are actively working to improve our communities. In every episode, we'll meet with people who are making a lasting impact in the places we call home.
Hey everyone, this is Lynn Weinman, President and Chief Strategist at KidGlov. Welcome back to another episode of the Agency for Change podcast. So today I am going to talk to somebody who is very passionate about the work that they do. As a matter of fact, when you talk with somebody who is on fire for their work, you can just see it in their face, you can feel it in their voice. And I think that you are going to feel it today when we talk with Kyle Van Frank. He is the Executive Director of the Fire Foundation of Denver. And the Fire Foundation is all about championing the inclusion of students with disabilities in Catholic schools in the Denver area. He's going to talk to us about why this work is important and how it benefits the education process as a whole. Plus, he's got some great tidbits for donor relationships and development work, as he is a real rising star in this space. Kyle, welcome to the podcast. I can't wait to talk with you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm really looking forward to talking to you more about this great work that you're doing. But could you start, Kyle, just by telling us more about Fire Foundation of Denver and the work that you're doing?
Absolutely. So, Fire Foundation of Denver is a nonprofit based here in Denver, Colorado. And we have a mission to champion the inclusion of children with disabilities in Catholic schools through fundraising, educational resources, and promoting a culture of belonging.
Kyle, I love how that mission statement just so nicely rolled off your tongue. I could tell that you have done that before, but since you have a bit, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yep. So since you opened the door to it, this sounds like a silly question, but I really want to hear your answer. Why is championing the inclusion of students with disabilities in Catholic schools so important to you and to the organization?
Yeah, we work with Catholic schools and we feel very, very strongly that Catholic schools are an extension of the local church, the local parish, what happens in the sanctuary. And we believe that those Catholic Christian communities should be providing schools that are a home for everyone.
Yeah.
And so, we believe just from that very basic level that the schools should really be a home for everyone. And what's the great news about it is that there's also some really great academic reasons. We know that when kids of varying learning abilities all are educated in the same classroom, test scores go up. 40 years of
Really? That's
shows us
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know that social emotional development is really key. Students learn to interact with other students that face adversity in different ways than them. And they grow in compassion and empathy. And there's lots of statistics that show as well that students with intellectual and developmental disabilities that were included growing up more likely to seek higher ed and have long-term employment and fulfillment in life.
You know what I love about what you just said, Kyle, and you don't know this, but last week's episode, I spoke with Jay Wilkinson, who's the founder of the Do More Good movement. And he has been working on a research study of the top leaders in the world, the top corporate leaders in the world. And what he said is he asked them what the important traits were, and they put them into a word cloud. And in the top 5 is empathy. So when you match up the fact that you and Fire Foundation of Denver and Catholic schools are working on something that increases empathy, and then the top leaders in the world are saying empathy is one of those top 5 characteristics, that matches up pretty well, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So Kyle, tell me this. You are a young man and you're an executive director of this very dynamic organization. I'm curious, how did your career journey lead you here?
A windy path around a lot of over the hill and through the woods.
I
And
love it.
yeah, so I studied musical theater in undergrad. I went to the University of Alabama and I worked as a professional actor and director and teaching artist for a few years. And while I was working at a theater in Florida during the pandemic, we
Oh,
were
yeah.
all we went from this team of, 200 people down to 60. And
Yeah. It's even amazing that you could hold 60 during the pandemic in the
yeah,
entertainment space, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. To have been able to do as much as we did was really a testament to their financial acumen. But we had to find ways to gather income because we didn't have shows. And so
Absolutely.
everyone was sort of wearing new hats, and the little bit of development that I had done, philanthropy in college and volunteering, I always loved it, but it was really amazing to kind of see behind the curtain to that development office.
Yeah.
And I really fell in love with it. And so I went back to school, got my master's at the University of Denver in nonprofit leadership, and was working in alumni relations and fundraising at the Catholic high school where I went in Memphis, Tennessee. And as fate would have it, a girl had come out to Denver, and I knew that I needed to follow her out here. And it's working out because we're about to get married, and
Congratulations on that. As a matter of fact, I think this podcast launches on the day you return from your honeymoon.
you're
So,
right.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just this amazing moment when I, was looking for jobs and this posting popped up and it was like, okay, education, fundraising. And then, while I had actually been a teaching in the arts, I taught a lot of different things. My favorite class was teaching young adults with disabilities music.
Mm,
And I
yeah.
always thought, wouldn't it be amazing to do something more for this community? And just that was always in the back of my head. And it was just this check, check, check. And I found out later it was actually the last day they were accepting applications.
Wow.
They had planned to
That
go
sounds
in.
serendipitous.
It is.
Serendipitous, fate, God thing, whatever you want to call it. It sounds like this was supposed to happen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's how I ended up here almost 2 years ago.
That's amazing. So, Kyle, one thing you said that really sparked my attention is the fact that you love development work and fundraising. And for many people, it really, even for a cause that you love and believe in, it can be kind of uncomfortable to ask for money, but yet it's the lifeblood of nonprofits. So I'm really curious. I know we have a lot of nonprofit leaders who listen to the podcast. Do you have any strategies or insights that you found really effective for engaging those donors and building that support?
I think I've always approached fundraising with the knowledge that there's a lot of wealth in the world
Yeah.
and there's a lot of problems in the world.
Hmm.
And my belief in humanity is that people want to solve those problems.
Yeah. Wow.
And you can have all the money in the world, and if you don't have the right ideas and the right people, it can't make the change. But we also know that we've got a lot of great nonprofits out there with a lot of great people and
Yes.
ideas that need the money. And so I think that you've got to break down that barrier of chances are if you've made it, especially in major giving, if you've made it to that one-on-one lunch, the person wants to give.
Yeah, that's right. That's
And
right.
I think you have to tell yourself that, right? You have to approach it from that perspective of the wealth is out there, the problems are there, and our job is just to connect those means to that need.
Yeah.
And but I think that what's crucial to that is relationships. I think that whether you're doing a campaign that's going to be going out to hundreds of thousands of people, or you are meeting one-on-one with that major donor, relationships still matter. Treating
Yeah.
people as people matters. Listening and really coming to understand, why is this donor interested? What about our mission sparks their interest? And if you
Hmm.
really, I tell you, when I go to lunch, sometimes, I'm running out of time before I make the ask because I'm just enjoying getting to know a person.
Right. Right. I bet you
Yeah.
hear a lot of wonderful stories too, right? Like when you sit down with that donor and you really talk about their interest in the cause, My experience has been that a lot of times there's a through line to I'm interested in this cause because I was touched by this event in my life,
Mhm.
in my family, in my community. And I bet you hear a lot of great stories.
You do, and you learn the person that you didn't even know. In our instance, serving young people with disabilities, you never knew that this donor had an adult child
Mm,
with a disability who never got to
right.
experience inclusion. And maybe it's something they keep a little closer to their chest because
Hmm.
maybe it is a sorrow that didn't
Yeah.
happen. But you get to know them and you learn that, or you learn that they're passionate about a particular aspect of education. And that goes back to that full sort of cyclical nature of development is when you meet with that person again, can you share a story that actually
Mhm.
isn't just the great stories that you share in your campaigns that are for everyone, but can it be something that's really personal because this person loves that, they're interested.
All right, you open the door, and you, Kyle, are a self-described passionate storyteller. Do you have any great stories you can share with us about kids or families that maybe have benefited from the work of the Fire Foundation?
Yeah, I do. I do. It's my favorite part of my job is getting to hear the stories. And there's one student in particular that sticks out who she was, I think this might have been when she was in the fourth or fifth grade, and she had just started going to school with other kids in an inclusive environment. Previously, had been
Mm.
homeschooled, and her birthday's coming up, and
Oh.
so mom is going to invite. There's two homerooms at this school. She's going to invite the girls in her homeroom, and another mom says, "No, you got to invite all the girls in the whole grade. They all have to. That's what you do." And she said, "Okay."
Yeah.
All right, so here's these 30 girls
Oh my
now.
gosh.
Yeah.
I'm overwhelmed by the thought of that. Yeah.
Exactly. 35th grade girls on
Oh
a
man.
Saturday afternoon eating hamburgers and having a great time, in the backyard at the house. And mom sees her daughter leave the room where all the girls are. And she says, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yeah, it's just too loud in there." She has,
Oh,
among other things, some real sensory sensitivities. And
yeah.
so two girls, without skipping a beat, follow in and they say, "What's wrong? What's going on?" And she said, "You guys are just too loud." And they said, "Well, what if we had a whisper party?"
Oh,
And she said, "Okay." And so for the rest of the party, including singing happy birthday, these 30 girls on their own, without an adult telling them to, without anyone intervening, said, "What do you need? How can we help
wow.
you?" And they did it.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I kind of gives me chills a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a wallet opening story right there, right? I love that. And
Yeah.
you know that. I think that's fantastic. So can you talk a little bit more specifically about like how does the foundation come in and support a school or a community to make this possible?
It's a great question. And we're kind of a unique foundation in that, a lot of foundations grant money and you hear back in the reports, or a nonprofit maybe runs programs, but they don't give funds away. And
Yeah.
we really do both. And so what's crucial though is when we partner with a school, we're telling them, "You're a school, education. We want to support what you're doing, and we just want to give
Yeah.
you the resources to help." And so our grants really are an investment in the school, and they fund staff salaries so that they can hire
Mm,
special educators,
yeah.
paraprofessionals, professional development, maybe to send a teacher through a higher ed program or to do a
Mhm.
training for the whole school. And lastly, adaptive technology and equipment. It could be
Mm,
a communication device for the playground, headphones for a sensory basket in a room,
right.
a desk for a child that needs a physical accommodation. So we really are investing long term in the school through those three ways. Those are what our
That's
grants
neat.
fund. But, we're an affiliate of Fire Foundation, the original Fire Foundation based in Kansas City, Missouri. And we're a network of 10 independent foundations across the country that are all doing the same thing, collaborating with
Nice.
each other. And something they learned in Kansas City about 15 years in was that the grants are amazing. They change, the game,
Yeah.
but that PD component's really, really key. And so we work with our local archdiocese to bring in nationally renowned educators, trainers, consultants to put on professional development for the schools so that teachers can learn and get up to speed on some of these
Yeah.
topics. And so, those are our two largest programs are the school grants program and the professional development. And that's really allowed us to invest in schools long term through that financial investment, but also in the short and near term to say, okay, what are the topics? Is it behavior regulation? Is it modification
Right.
of curriculum? Universal design for learning? What are the kind of hot topics that you need that we can come and fill in the gaps quickly for you?
Yeah, I'm sure the schools also appreciate your posture of support and coming alongside them versus telling them what to do. So I think that's really neat too. Kyle, I know you just had a big event, and by the time this comes out, it will have been a couple months out, but you had a big event. It was really successful for you. Would you like to share a bit about the event?
Yeah, we hold two events every year, our bonfire gala in August and Hearts on Fire, which is our Valentine's cocktail hour in
Ooh, so that's
February.
coming up
It
then.
is.
And all
It
right.
is February 6th. So we're
Okay.
very excited about that event. But our gala that just happened really is our largest fundraiser of the year. We had about 375 people
That's
this
a
year.
pretty nicely filled room. Yeah, good for you.
We were excited. We've been around for 3 years. And so to have a crowd that size, we've outgrown our venue and are moving somewhere else next year because of it. And it's really fantastic. But yeah, it's our annual gala, and through sponsorships and a live auction, ticket sales, and just regular donations, it provides the bulk of our funding. But we were really just blown away by the support this year.
That's
Raised
great.
over $600,000, which
Wow. That's
it's
great.
it's more than $150,000 more than we were expecting.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and that was it's allowed us to really respond. Last year when we were going through the grants process, the schools that applied asked us for $1.7 million.
Wow.
We were able to give away half a million.
It's hard to say no too,
It
right? Like
is.
it's so hard because the cause is so good, the need is so great. It's for kids who are vulnerable, right? So
Yeah,
the more you raise, the more you can say, yeah,
exactly.
that's great.
Exactly. So
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. Yes, it was a wonderful night. Yeah, and always just a great community night. We're spread apart, the schools we serve all across northern Colorado, and we usually have at least a parent or a teacher or somebody from every school
That's
there.
great.
And so it's just a really cool evening because it really only happens that one night a year.
Yeah, yeah. So, Kyle, you're doing such good work. You're on a path for success, which I have to say, kudos to you, because this is in a year when a lot of people are seeing donations trend down and sponsorships trend down. So, really good for you. What's on the horizon? What are you looking forward to in the coming year?
Yeah, well, because we have been blessed to have, a great year and continued growth, we are looking forward to increasing our impact to schools next year by almost $300,000,
Amazing.
which is it's very exciting to know that, we're still not at that 1.7 million. I know we will be one day.
Yeah, I
Um,
have faith in you, Kyle. I have total faith. It'll be before you know it, for
I
sure.
Well, but it's just great to know that we're going to be able to grow a little bit, and increase our investment in professional development. We're going to be taking about 30 teachers to a national conference in February.
Nice. A national conference can be so energizing. And
Yes.
I mean, what I love about it too, if you're taking 30 teachers, they're going to network with each other. They're going to network with people from other communities. There's going to be like
Yeah.
lifelong kind of support that's happening in conversations and in addition to the education. So I think that's really cool.
Absolutely. And just in kind of talking to the teachers as we're registering them and getting them ready, we're learning. I mean, there are some teachers that have never been to a conference.
Yeah. Well, it's expensive,
It
right?
is. It
Conferences are
is.
expensive, and it's also if the conferences happen during the school year, then there have to be
Mhm.
subs and lesson plans
Exactly.
and all the things. So, but I
Yep.
think it can also just be such an energizer for those that get
Yes.
to go, right? Like just sometimes it can just be hard. And I've got to imagine you hit springtime as a teacher. You're
Mhm.
like, how many more months till summer, right? So it has
Right.
to be very, very energizing. That's
Yeah.
really, really exciting, Kyle. So, Kyle, we've got a pretty good listener base for Agency for Change in Denver and in Colorado, but also for people across the country who might want to support you, send you money so you can hit that 1.7, just check into what you're doing, see pictures from your event, register for the upcoming event. How do they find you?
We keep it all at firefoundationdenver.org.
Beautiful.
And yeah, there's a lot of great stuff out there. If you're a teacher looking for resources, if you're
Mm,
a donor interested in giving, if you just want to learn more about what is inclusive education, it's a
yeah.
great place to go to start to learn all those things.
That's awesome. We'll make sure for everyone to have that link in the show notes on the KidGlov website as well, so that's easy to find. All right, Kyle, I'm gonna switch gears here and ask you my favorite question. And I ask this question because I get to talk
Hmm.
to so many people on this podcast who are so inspiring, but yet so humble, right? And so I want a Kyle Van Frank original quote to inspire our listeners. What do you have for us?
Yeah, I would say listen to what your community says it needs.
Ooh, yeah. Listen to what your community says it needs. Wow. That's got to work for fundraising. It's got to work for support. It's got to work for so many levels. That is a gem. Thank you for that, Kyle. I love talking to you, and I'm sad that we're coming to an end of this conversation. But as we do wrap this up, I'd love to tie a bow on this by asking you,
Hmm.
what is the most important thing you'd like people to know about the work that you're doing?
That inclusive education works.
Mm,
It doesn't just, it's a great thing to talk about because it gives us the warm fuzzies and
yeah,
it's beautiful to look at, but it really works.
yeah.
Educational outcomes improve, it changes lives, and it really transforms the trajectory of young people's lives.
Things that we all want for our kids or the kids in our communities. That's lovely. Kyle, I'm going to say I fully believe the world needs more people like you, needs more organizations like the Fire Foundation of Denver. I appreciate you talking with me today, especially when you're so close to that big wedding event. So, congratulations on that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and for all you do.
Absolutely.
We hope you enjoyed today's Agency for Change podcast. To hear all our interviews with those who are making a positive change in our communities, or to nominate a changemaker you'd love to hear from, visit kidglov.com at KIDGLOV.com to get in touch. As always, if you like what you've heard today, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.